The big day. My wife and I have been married for 14 years. I'm 12 years older than her. She was 18 when we met and not too long after we were parents. So, we got married. Since then, we've had 2 more kids and haven't had any too many struggles in that time. We actually still laugh a lot together, and even up until recently our intimacy has been very good, at least as far as I can tell. I'd say the one ever-present issue in this family is the external influence of my mother. If ever there was an evil in-law, she'd be the case. By her nature she's domineering, pretty insensitive and often rude, exactly as you'd expect for the stereotypical in-law. The difference being that she happens to be my mom. I've always sided with my wife whenever there were differences between her and my mother. Not because it was the husband thing to do, but because she and I really see eye to eye regarding my mother and her attitudes on just about everything. So, the troubles don't just lie between my wife and mother. I have never really gotten along with my mother, even though I was raised in a single-parent household, by her. If I had my way, I'd move us far away. But as we are now, I'm currently working and in school and have to rely on her financially. So, it makes things quite complicated. Let me get to the heart of what our present struggles are. My wife calls it her soul-searching phase. She's wondering what her place in life is and what it should, might, could have been. I met her in the Philippines, and after we got married, we moved to States. She left behind her parents and family and basically left college after 2 years. She left the only life she ever knew to be with me in the States and raise our family. I guess this had been happening for quite some time, but only recently has it so emphatically made itself known as an emergent issue. She seemed to have woken up one day and questioned whether or not our marriage should have ever happened in the first place. More backstory, when I asked her to get married, she wanted to wait. But me, being the immature yet older guy that I was, really pushed for it. I don't know, maybe I felt the same too, but I really wanted to be with her and felt it was right to spend my life with her. Sincerely, I felt that. I still feel that. So now, she's feeling like she missed out on so much. She sees her friends and how they've gone on to have college degrees and careers and is ashamed of how her life turned out. That mixed with a severe longing for her hometown and her mother, who is also in a failing marriage and is having really tough financial problem, has left her pretty mortally depressed. She talks about leaving or just going away somewhere. She said she wished I didn't love her so much so that going away wouldn't be so burdensome. Her depression seems pretty resolute. I've suggested that maybe she could go back to school and at least start on a road to success. That perhaps would not only let her feel a greater sense of purpose, but that the end game would be that she could financially help out her family. That doesn't seem to mitigate her state of mind. There's never been any infidelity from her or me. I'm getting the sense that she just wants to quit everything and go back home. I think our bond is pretty strong. So, when there's a hiccup, it feels devastating. She's my best friend and it really pains me to see her so sad and hopeless. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but I see the road ahead as being very blurry and gloomy. I think I have enabled my wife too. She left everything for me and our family and now despises me for it. She has literally said that to me. We're in a really difficult place now with no hope in the near future. She can go back to school here. In fact, she's taken a couple courses here already towards a degree and is thinking of enrolling in the fall. But all of her thoughts and intentions are of going back home to the Philippines and finishing school there, with or without the rest of us. We're a little stuck now because I too have gone back to school and she feels like her life has been put on the back burner again. But she can enroll in school right now. Even taking an online class a semester is progress towards something, right? That's what I tell her. But it doesn't seem to mitigate her emotions. I am totally in her corner with regard to her successes and accomplishments. I want that for her. She deserves it. There's new fold developing recently. I've considered moving our family back to the Philippines so that I can get into med school there, in the city where I met my wife. I actually went there in the late 90s to try and go to school, but it didn't take. I met her and we got married. I know, life coming full circle. It's a major life change for all of us, but a potentially enriching life experience not only for us parents but for the kids as well. I am absolutely familiar with Filipino culture. Both of my parents are Filipino. My father is from my wife's hometown. My mother is from the next island over. I lived in the Philippines for 6 years, during which I met my wife and had 2 kids. My heart is still in the Philippines, and I would gladly take her back. It's been 12 years and we've both wanted to go back every day since. But coming up with 9,000 on a whim is a stretch, to say the least. It's nearly impossible. I'm the only one that's employed and we're barely making it work now, financially speaking. My mother is helping us out until I finish school, after which I will plan a trip for us all to go. Believe me, that's all we both want. No, she has no family here. She left it all behind. This has not at all been about me. I'm worried for her. She's determined right now to be despondent. If there was a way that I could finance this trip, I would. This has nothing to do with me not wanting her to go home. Even she is insistent that we all have to go. It's all or nothing. I've offered to pay, even against my instincts, to let her visit home, fearing that she might not get back on that return flight. But I'd let her if it meant she'd be happy for a few days. 1. No, we don't live with my mother. We did for a little while, but we moved into a house that is not far from my mother's house. and that is one source of friction, not enough space. 2. My mom helps out only a little. I have a full-time job and what she gives is only about 10% of what I earn at work. But if ever there's a financial trouble spot, my mother will help, with the expressed agreement that we pay her back. And we always do. The problem is that she tends to use her financial favors as leverage towards more control over our family's affairs. It's my fault that I let this happen. I can't quite cut loose because I'm trying to finish school and get us to a true state of financial independence. 3. Right now our plans are to move far away. I've tried playing the role of being there for my mother who lives by herself in a huge house. But now, all I want is to go. But that's just not possible right now. This leads us to where we are now. Right now, my wife's vision of her happy place only seems to be where she moves back to the Philippines, with or without me, and picks up where she left off in school and moves back with her parents. Keep in mind that we have 3 kids and that in order to do that we'd have to borrow more money from my mother. So, it's a real catch-22. My wife wants autonomy now but isn't willing to wait anymore for it. I'm stumped. Things seem to have slowed down a bit. The conflict, that is. We've talked a lot of things out and my wife seems to have mellowed out a lot. Mother's Day was tough for her but she's more even-keeled now. We are good, at least. She's made it clear that she doesn't want us to end. But I'm still cautious, trying hard to keep the marriage working and moving forward. I've been finding myself watching movies lately that seem to have a common theme of failed marriages. This does nothing to soothe my fears. Apart from that, I'm just trying to think ahead. I've been planning a getaway for the 2 of us to commemorate our 14th wedding anniversary, and she seems genuinely happy and excited about it. I'm just relieved to see her smiling and laughing again. Few months later, we're in a rough patch now, kind of a continuation of one that began earlier this year. It subsided a bit, but just a few days ago came back. I think I misread what was happening before. We've been married for 13 years, together for 15. We have 3 kids now. Earlier this year I thought the breakdown was more over her emotional rut and sort of soul-searching phase, like what's her other purpose other than dutiful wife and mother, which I wasn't at all resistant to her discovering herself. I encouraged her to try and figure it out and I would help in any way. But her recent breakdown has been more revealing. She simply says she's tired and exhausted. To my guilt, I messed things up a bit for us financially. Not anywhere near bankruptcy, but one credit card debt can really wreak havoc on a family's already tight budget. And that's what I did. I stepped in crap again, even at the behest of my wife. It's totally my fault. So now she's at the point where she doesn't think she can muster the strength to not only hang around but fears that I might drag us through the dirt again. She feels that I took her for granted. And I have. Her deepest hurt comes from the thought of even though I couldn't fully reconcile the husband, father that I wanted to be with the person that I thought I really was, she didn't care. She loved me no matter what and was proud of me not matter what. And I just didn't fully appreciate that about her. Not in any way that she could appreciable, at least. She says she hasn't written off our marriage yet, but she'd rather us be apart and still love each other than risk staying married and end up resenting each other. Kind of I'll destroy this village in order to save it gesture. There's never been talk of anybody else, and we've never dealt or experienced any type of infidelity. We've always had a pretty active physical relationship and we even enjoying working out together, even now. Just a little over a week ago we were giggling at silly shows together and she even told me how much she appreciates that efforts I've been making at really paying attention to her needs. It's a weird place. I guess I never saw it coming, which makes it all seem so devastating. My instinct is to overcoddle, which probably comes across as manipulation. She has expressed that sometimes she just wants to move on. I know that time and attention can help mend things, but how much time is too much in terms of not specifically trying to address and remedy a marital problem? I need insight. I know I messed up and I've expressed that. I'll do what it takes to try and win her back. Maybe we have to kind of go through a re-courtship, albeit a very measured and slow one. I'm realizing now that my wife is battling anxiety and depression. She just has so many negative emotions, misgivings, regrets, opportunities lost, all battling for supremacy in her head. She's all used up. She told me last night that she doesn't feel passion for anything anymore. Not even me. She's pretty much given up. She goes on autopilot every day, going through the house chores and making sure the kids are all squared away every day and then just kind of implodes at the end of each day. It hurt me to hear that she feels no passion or romance anymore. But I guess I'm just being selfish. I ultimately want her to be happy, but this depression is gutting this house. She's been feeling a real sense of urgency to begin a new path towards personal growth and achievement. But along with that come feelings of regret which really work to overshadow everything else. She's overcome by it, smothered by it. I suggest seeking outside help, counseling, but she kind of shrugs it off. I'm just trying not to get sucked into the vortex too. My 8-year-old son remarked before we left for the cruise that we were going on a romantic date. My wife then kind of said to me as an aside, well, maybe not so much the romantic part. So, there was that. Anytime I would try to move a little closer to her during the cruise, she would simultaneously back away. So, there's definitely a cautious air about her now. But she says did at one point in the evening say that she's pretty sure we'll be okay no matter what. I guess we're just trying to figure out how to get maybe not back to where we were, but to a new place, wherever that might be. The scary unknown. She hasn't slept in our bed for the past few days, opting to sleep in our youngest's room, who's all the happier to pretend camp in his little tent. I'm just going to start making all of the date plans and hope she at least agrees to go, and we can maybe rebuild our relationship from there. It's the little things that get to me the most. We always shared our meals when we ate out before. Not so much now. I think she's willing to try, but she's very guarded. I'd love some more perspective. I don't know if there's a chance of coming back from this one. Seriously, like I want to leave out of not feeling like I deserve to be here. Yeah, that's some serious guilt. But I keep doing and saying things that, without fail, sabotage any recovery we might be working towards. I need to shut up and stop doing things. I keep trying to control the chaos and only end up making more of it. I'm the chaos kid. This might really be the beginning of the downward spiral. I'm feeling like I need to take a stand. Right now, she's kind of dictating the relationship, very determined to hang on to her resentment. I'm not expecting her to instantly forgive me. We both realized that things were not so perfect before. Neither of us spoke up enough concerning how we regarded each other. So now we're in limbo. Who's going to make the first step? We were on the verge of separation on Friday. We're still contemplating it, if only to give each other some breathing room. We definitely have codependency issues. How do you move past them? Personal growth, I'm sure, must be the focus. I'm all for rebuilding our relationship. I just need her to step up and decide that she's willing to take part in this relationship too. I have to accept that I can't control her feelings or how she reacts towards me, nor can I fix her heart. I can only control how I choose to act towards her and how I adjust to her newly expressed needs. If she accepts me, great. If not, oh well. I'm having to learn that I have to let go a little bit and let things fall where they may. Very cliched. We'll have been separated 2 weeks this coming Sunday. Like I said, she's accepted me back, but there's a real caution in the way we both act towards each other. Me afraid to inadvertently hurt her again or set her off in a bad way, and she afraid to be hurt or disappointed by me again. We're walking on eggshells with each other. The kids are taking it all right, I guess. Their ages 8, 13, and 14. They know something is not right, obviously, now that I'm out of the house. I asked them what they thought about the whole arrangement. They don't like it. They think it's weird. I reassured them that mommy and daddy just need to work some issues out and that it's just temporary. My wife told them the same thing. I think my 8-year-old is really affected by it. He's very nervous about it. He hates that have to go after I visit. Very sad. Like I said, I've been given the green light to move back, which I might do this week. I'm not sure if my wife has really thought about me moving back in, however. We're communicating much better now and getting along really well, but there's still an awkwardness. I'm not sure if me moving back will have a positive effect on our relationship or if it will just trigger more negative emotions that are lurking under the surface. That's what I'm worried about. I don't know how unrequited within a marriage can ever work. But I kind of feel that's what is happening right now in my marriage. My wife and I are talking openly and honestly. We're laughing and joking and telling each other stories and sharing our lives. But on the other side, we no longer hold hands or even kiss. It's like I got pushed into the friend zone inside my own marriage. How the hell is that supposed to work? She straightforwardly told me that she's just not sure of the future. She doesn't want things to go back to how they were. She's afraid that if she lets me back in, things will revert back to the way it was before. She told me she can see how much I'm trying and how much she appreciates it. But she also sees how much I'm hurt by her distancing. I don't know what to do. I made an appointment for marriage counseling this Saturday. I asked if she'd be open to it following our conversation, and she immediately said yes. But it really seems like this is entirely up to her. Maybe this is what she wants, more control over our relationship. A big negative factor in our marriage has been the presence of my mother. My mother can be very domineering, and she tries to exert her influence over not just me but how we try to conduct our affairs. This has all been talked about, and I laid down the law to my mother a year ago. Banned her from our house, even. But even then, my wife holds on to that resentment. I don't blame her one bit, and I'm not expecting her to just suddenly come around. I realize that it could take a while before she's ready to let go, and I'm honestly fine with that. I guess I just need some reassurance that she's going to find it in herself to want to make that commitment to working on us again. For now, she's not ready. She says she's been waiting for a sign to help nudge her in that direction. But just the other day as I was leaving, she sighed in exasperation. I feel like I don't want to be married anymore. Seems like a nail in the coffin to me. We're in MC right now. It's going okay. Haven't really gotten to the meat and potatoes of our issues, but I'm not very hopeful at the moment. The proverbial writing's on the wall, and it doesn't look good. Wife's kind of where you are. She speaks often of not wanting to go back to how things were and how I lost her already. She doesn't talk about divorce, but when I ask if that's what she wants, she says, that seems like where we're heading. She's talking about where the kids will be on which holidays, my place or hers. She says she doesn't know what she wants, and I ask if splitting up the family is her solution, and she accuses me of calling her a bad person. What have I misconstrued? There is zero talk of hope for our marriage, and she says she's very happy with herself. Of course, I'm the one who got us into MC. She's only going because I want to. So, I don't know how else to feel but hopeless and lost. I feel like I'm grieving, pathetic and sad, and I need to snap the hell out of it. You know things are bad when your happiest dreams only make you sad. I'm coining that phrase, lyric, putting that in a song for sure. Well, our therapist quit, or got fired, not sure which. So, wife doesn't want to go to MC anymore. She was just getting comfortable with our therapist. Too awkward to try and start with someone new. I agree that it's really awkward. We were just starting to get into the deeper issues too. I guess that's it. Events have conspired to tell us this thing is over. Stick a fork in us. Wow, totally defeated. No hope. Here's where we're at right now. She basically says she's content with being roommates, essentially, and co-parents. But I shouldn't expect anything from her, romantically. She's of course talking about bonding. I'm not even thinking about that. I just like the possibility of love happening again. But she's emphatic about that door being totally shut right now. She'll consider going to IC but is very reticent about going to MC. She says she's fine now and that's it. As in, she's happy with herself and her decisions and let's not talk about it again. She just wants to be alone. No men, no relationships. When we talk about a separation, as in me leaving, there will be no restrictions. I can come by as often as I like to see the kids, and she'd even like us to all spend as much time together as a family as possible. She'd also like it if she and I could even spend time together, play some tennis and maybe go out to eat, but with no strings attached. She'll make no promises and tells me that I should have zero expectations. Total friend zone. There is no love on her side, only on mine. She said she doesn't want a chance going through what we went through again. So, her heart is shut down. I know she's not okay because in MC when asked particular questions she became visibly upset. But she still insists everything is hunky-dory, and by the way, I don't love you anymore. There's nobody else. No suspicions of infidelity. Just unrequited love. I went to MC alone this evening after work. I explained that my W was uncomfortable attending because of the abrupt departure of our previous MC and how awkward it was for her to start again with someone new after we'd built a nice rapport. And I am honestly on the same page as my wife. So, the session was okay. Just a rehashing of the same topics and issues just to re-establish what's happening. The MC encouraged that we just try and hang out and purely just be friends. No expectations and no strings attached. No pressure. Don't call it a date. Just call it a hangout. Which I'm honestly fine with that. I just want to feel the closeness again. Because right now there's an enormous distance between us. Anyhow, I came home and walked into our bedroom and my wife is on Skype talking to her brother and the topic of conversation was me. All I heard was her brother say, "What? Me said that." And then I left. No idea what was being said. Afterwards, I went into our office and then out of the blue my wife asks me if I'd like to join her and do some quick yoga with her, just 10 minutes. Of course, I obliged. I enjoy spending time with her and it's a rarity that she invites me to do anything with her lately. She asked me how the session went. I said it was just okay. I didn't tell her that it was really an MC and not so much an IC, which she might have thought it was. I'm not trying to read too much into the gesture, but it was an unexpected reaching out to me. It's all. I'm looking at myself the way my wife must see me now, after the magical spell of love wore off. What she put up with for the last 14 years. How can I blame her for her feelings now? I'm not asking for pity. Really, I'm not. I just need to vent this to the internet universe. As catharsis. We had a chat last night about what we're going to say to the kids. I know they know that something is amiss in our household between their parents, and I thought it important that we address it to them together, as a team, to at least reassure them that we still love them very much and that we're trying to work this out. Sort of. Wife reiterated that even though it's not the arrangement that I was hoping for, we're still a family even if she and I are no longer together. The door is still pretty much shut. For now, at least. She talked of how bad she feels seeing me feeling so neglected and deliberately kept at arm's length by her. Now you know how I felt, she said. So much hurt, so much resentment. I feel like there's just no coming back from that. Like maybe it's just best to let go. Sorry, guys. Not a happy post, I know. Lack of sleep puts my mind in a dark place. She's going home in June, finally, after 13 years. It had always been a big dream for us, to go back and revisit the place where we met and fell in love and started our family. And, after a bit of string pulling, there's the strong likelihood that I can go back with her, for a week or so and then come back before her while she stays for another week. And she expressed that she'd like me to go. But I'm not sure if I want to. It'd be too bittersweet for me and I'm worried that my presence would only detract from her much-needed family time. To have to be concerned with me, Mr. Deadweight. That place holds so many beautiful memories for us. To go back now, together, in the emotional place that we are both in might be too much. For me, at least. To have to put on brave face to all of our family and friends that think we're still a happy couple in love about to celebrate our 15th anniversary. Yeah, right. I cannot control her and how she feels about me. But I can focus on me and improve myself. Still trying to think of who my safe person can be. Might be a little too personal for this thread. Although I can't think of much more that I haven't shared already here. As for self-medicating. Yeah, it's a concern. I've always been kind of a partier, but I see myself turning to drink as a means of coping. It's unhealthy and I'm trying to really slow it down. It's just another in a laundry list of issues and coping mechanisms I'm trying to shed. Ironically, I'm really into working out. As I said earlier, I've lost a bunch of weight and have managed to maintain a relatively normal weight. I guess that's how I rationalize the drinking aspect. I work out hard every day, so why not have a drink? Dumb. I'm not at all a six-pack a day kind of drinker. But I do find myself looking for a beer or glass of wine at the end of each day, especially lately. We're not talking officially of divorce, but some type of arrangement where I'm not her husband and I live elsewhere, not far, and I still spend a lot of time with the kids and her. She still envisions this as some type of family. I really don't think she realizes what she's wishing for. She wants me very much in her life, just not in a way where she's indebted to me in any way. I'm just here to help raise the kids and be a friend to her. She's making plans to get work abroad maybe sometime in January. She doesn't see any reason to stay. She thinks I don't need her and thinks she has no positive effect on my life. So that's my timeline. I have until January to make a positive change that might win my wife back. If not, oh well. I can't reason her into wanting to stay for the kids and all that. I do know that the kids need their mom. And she's a great mom. A great homemaker too. And an awesome wife. She stood by me through the crap storm for almost 15 years. She just can't take it anymore. Period. And I can't convince her to stay. I guess I'm done here. She's determined now to leave as soon as she's financially able. She is officially checked out. There's no reasoning or rationale. All she sees is an escape from a life of emotional pain. I don't want to be her source of pain. I'll work on me, for my kids. I'll check back in if some miracle happens. I went to MC alone last Wednesday and told W that we talked quite a bit about the aforementioned meltdown and her subsequent plans to split. MC told me that she was acting pretty irrationally and selfishly, and that I needed to say something to her. So, I did, and in a much calmer state of mind, W agreed. She gave me assurances that she would never just leave me to raise the kids alone and that she was pretty emotional when she said those remarks. Anyway, this conversation seemed to pique some interest in her to want to at least start going to IC to gain some clarity and a different perspective. She had become comfortable enough with our MC that she thought she could at least go to her to seek some IC. So fast forward to this past Monday, 2 days before my W was scheduled to go to her first IC, and I get a text that our MC is no longer with the facility, and that we'd have to schedule with another counselor. That's the second counselor that has abruptly left the facility. And on both occasions, my wife had just begun to get comfortable with the idea of seeking counsel that she made the choice to want to go, only for them to leave just days before. And then we get passed off like some red-headed stepchild to somebody else that we'd have to rebuild our trust and rapport with and start from zero again. I mean, talk about bad luck. How ironic is it that I have childhood abandonment issues that I need to get worked out through therapy, and both of my therapists abandoned me? It's almost comedic. My W said, "Is it us?" And she's been talking all of this time about waiting for some kind of sign to help show her what she should do. It's been obstacle after obstacle. 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. I've been reading a lot. W.F. Harley's work is the only thing giving me hope. But I don't know how to kickstart her into wanting to try and change. For sure, I'll be looking into IC next week. I'm wallowing in a dark pit lately. I need out. The city she left is not at all how it was. Overcrowded, traffic, polluted. It's been very stressful. We've been texting and Skyping, and more she says she's really missing me. Just yesterday she was at a beach that we once went to, and she said she really wished I was there so that she could put her head on my shoulder. She said it's such a shame I couldn't go, and nobody there could understand why I wasn't with her. Her first day there, she said I should have been there with her and that we really could have bonded. She's seeing all of the places where we first fell in love, and I'm not there to experience it with her. She cried a few times over the phone at how much she missed me, and I felt how much she needed me there. I really missed a critical opportunity to reconnect with her. I'm really regretting not being with her. I've got excuses, commitments made that couldn't be broken, kids, school. My main fear was that if I went, this thing between us would have lessened the experience. Maybe made it more depressing. I couldn't stand the thought of faking happiness with everyone there knowing that we might be on the verge of total separation. Now, every time I hear her say she misses me or hear her exasperation of such a wasted opportunity, I just kick myself so hard. But she's always talking now about the future and when we go back there again and all of the things we need to do. So, I hope that's positive. I know I still need to work on being a better man, and I fear that when she gets back things will be as they were when she left. Maybe absence does make the heart grow fonder, or maybe it's just the escape of a different place. Eventually reality and its problems come back until they're resolved. I've got to work on that part. Few months later. Financially, we've both had our struggles. Revolving credit card debt got bad, but we've sort of managed to fix it lately. My wife has had an ongoing compulsive online shopping problem that she hasn't really dealt with until only this month. And I'm not the best with finances either. She very recently revealed to me that almost 10 years ago she had a credit card that she maxed out but never told me about. but I think that was the beginning of her compulsive shopping phase, which never really went away. Thing my wife has said over the last year are that she's feeling really stuck. She's put together a bucket list of things and places she wants to do before she turns 40. She's 34 now, never worked in her life. She's trying to seek employment but hasn't had any luck. Her mindset is that she's trying to pick up life where she left off 15 years ago and pursue what she was doing back then. So, she's gone back to school and will get her AA this month. She wanted to be a teacher before but has switched to graphic design based on a questionnaire she took recently. She's given me the not in love speech, but she's acting like her feelings are worse than just not in love. Daggers for eyes describes it best. But sometimes she seems kind of nice, like she's interested in at least keeping a good friendship going between us. There's no as far as I know. I've done enough snooping to be pretty sure of this. She has no friends that she hangs out with. Her family are all overseas. Homesickness was a huge cause of her depression last year. She got to go home this summer for the first time in 14 years. It was nice for her but also very challenging because the city she left had changed so much. She even told me she wished I could have gone so that she could hold my hand and put her head on my shoulder as we revisited the places we once visited so often. I'm American and met her overseas when I lived in her town where my parents are also from. She says she feels like she gave everything for me and feels that I didn't give everything for her and can't reconcile that at all. So, she thinks that there's nothing more to do or say and that we're simply done. We tried MC for a few sessions with almost comedic results when MC would suddenly quit after seeing us, on 2 separate, consecutive occasions. So, I decided to fix my own messed up head by going to a psychotherapist. He thinks this should all blow over in a year or so. But I guess being in the middle of the chaos, it's hard to see anything positive coming from all of this. He's trying to slowly convince her to come in to get counseling for herself. He thinks she's got some mental disorders that she needs to recognize and work out. But my wife seems a little hesitant to do this. So, I'm trying to lead by example and work on being a much better version of myself. He described her as a kite floating erratically in the wind. I need to be the guy holding the string, keeping her anchored to the ground while she figures out what to do. Just be like the dumb, clueless husband on TV who doesn't go crazy or acts out. Just be a rock that she can count on when she comes back down. Some analogy, right? But it kind of makes sense. He's labeling it a midlife crisis that should blow over just as long as I don't do anything stupid. Good luck with that. That's where we are now. We're definitely growing more distant with each day. I try to be cordial and say hello or good morning. But she's never the one to greet or speak first unless it's something that she specifically needs from me. She knows we've both made mistakes, but she seems to be blaming me more than herself. She's at least working very hard to paint me as the person most at fault and that I'll never change. She even threatened to find work overseas and leave the kids with me to take care of them while she Skypes in motherly duties. My therapist thinks she's simply a person who feels like she has no control of her life. She wants to leave the marriage but doesn't work and can't find a job. So, she seems to be stuck with me until she finds something better. She lamented at the state of our marriage, but she doesn't want to take part in trying to fix it. And she simply feels like she can't give anything more. It's very hard for me not to be angry or show frustration. But I've been taking these punches for so long, maybe I can do it a while longer. She says she sees how hurt I am that she feels bad about that. But she can't help that she doesn't feel the same way about me that she did before. So, she's just moving on. She doesn't even wear her wedding ring anymore. Kind of brutal. My comment: I'm not telling you she is having an affair, but even working with your spouse is no guarantee against cheating. There are breaks, lunches, meetings. Get my point. Cheaters can be very good at covering their track and living double lives. Either way, she's telling you she doesn't love you. Why stay in a marriage like that? If she has already checked out, you can't win her back. You have to start imagining what life would be like apart. The affair part comes in the second part ending that I'm working on. Subscribe, and I will see you in the ending.